Hey, good morning, guys. It is August 16th, and I got distracted in scripture, which is a good thing to do. And I didn't, while chamber study is really good, I actually found the scripture around it more compelling. So, um, Chambers is dealing with John 10:3, and when he's talking, and here's what Jesus is talking and challenging the Pharisees after he's healed a man of blindness from birth. And the Pharisees question the man, then they throw him out. And the questioning of the Pharisees and the man is so interesting. It's in chapter 9 of John, and they're like, how did he open your eyes? And he says, why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples too? And they say, and they hurl insults at him, and they say, you're this fellow's disciple. We are the disciples. It's interesting what they say. We're the disciples of Moses. Jesus addresses that later in chapter 10, and he says, there's only one name and one way in. And it's not Moses, by the way. So he addresses that later, but they're like, we don't even know where this man comes from. And the guy's like, wait, you don't even know where he's from? That's remarkable. And he opened my eyes. This has to be from God. And so then they throw him out. They insult him and throw him out. And they actually say, he says, man, I no one's ever heard of someone being healed who was blind from birth. And they say, you were steeped in sin when you were born. And you, how dare you lecture us? And they throw him out, and he finds Jesus, and Jesus says, um, he says, do you believe in the Son of Man? Son of Man is a reference from the Daniel chapter that we've studied before, which when you see the Son of Man coming from the clouds, this is the appearance to mankind of the victorious Redeemer of Israel. And so the Son of Man is a very kingly kind of vision. Anyway, he says, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He says, "Who is it?" And he says, "You've seen him." And he says, "I believe." And so this whole interaction with the Pharisees, and then he says, and so the Pharisees then jump in and they start asking Jesus questions, and they say, "What, are we blind too?" He said, "No, actually, if you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty of your sin, but you've rejected, or you," he says, "you claim you can see, and your guilt remains." And then he gets into chapter 10, verse 3, which he says, anybody who tries to enter the sheep pen by any other way other than the gate is a thief and a robber. The watchman opens the gate for the person who's going to enter, the shepherd. And the sheep know his voice, and he calls his sheep by name. And that's what Chambers is dealing with, calls his sheep by name. It's an interesting thing, actually, if you read Revelation. And if you notice that God is a God of changing people's, he changes Abram's name to Abraham. He changes Jacob's name to Israel. He changes Saul's name to Paul. He changes names throughout Scripture. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but one of the things that we forget is that our name in heaven is not our name given by our parents. There is a scripture in Revelation that says he will write on a white stone. We will present a white stone with our name that he's given us. So he doesn't know us by this name. He knows us by our redeemed name. That's what I would say. He knows us by our redeemed name, which I don't know it, but that's a really crazy, intimate kind of picture of Jesus and how he perceives us. Chambers says it's possible to know all about doctrine and yet not know Jesus, not know him. The soul is in danger when knowledge of doctrine outsteps intimate touch with Jesus, and that's what the Pharisees are dealing with here. We have two people. We have the person who was healed, and the Pharisees. The person who was healed says, "Who is the Son of Man?" He says, "You've seen him." He says, "I believe." Right? And the Pharisees, on the other hand, they know all the doctrine in the world, but they can't see the Messiah standing right in front of them. It's the saddest story in history that the Pharisees missed the Messiah. Not only did they miss, they argued. They argued with God himself, the one that they said they were following. They sat there and argued with him, and then crucified him. So terribly sad story. But anyway, one other thing from Chambers that I pulled out, which was the end. He says, the one sign of discipleship is intimate connection with him, a knowledge of Jesus Christ, which nothing can shake. And so this idea of knowledge versus relationship is something we really need to shake off. Having knowledge is great, but relationship cannot be substituted with knowledge. And having knowledge of each other, you think about relationship between people, having knowledge of each other is great. It helps us to be more connected to that person, understand the person better. And that's how we should view Scripture and how we get to know Jesus. But to have all this doctrine and knowledge without relationship is the saddest thing in history, which is the same as the Pharisees. It's terribly sad to have doctrinal knowledge without relationship with Christ. So, what I would say to you today is, just make sure that that relationship is something you have, that you can relate to Jesus, not just know about him here. So, you guys have an awesome day.